Yurah is a robot that was turned into a human. To cure the brain before the embryo cell's appliance similarities get to the body and brains before it's too late, people have developed a depression-curing eye lens which they have combined with a robot metabolism being in the eye. They extract that fusion to inject it to Yurah's body to eliminate the embryo cells from her body. By lessening the human body references, people inject the fusion by traveling into the body with a spaceship and saving humanity. The depression-curing eye lens. High-frequency currents from the lens met inside the eye and turn it to a low-frequency current at the retina. This low-frequency current then sends an electrical signal to the optic nerve network, stimulate the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex. Is it enough to solve the umbilical cord trauma? These electrical signals are safe for the eyes. They stimulate only the retina and not cause any pain. Curing illnesses through the eye, but how do you scan people then, Colin, when it's a dream of business? And time travel, robot metabolism in the eye. That's what people would have called a cyborg. It's a fusion. Robot metabolism is a biologically inspired process that allows machines to physically grow, heal, and upgrade by consuming and integrating parts from their environment or other robots. It gives robots the autonomy to mechanically adapt and self-repair without requiring external manufacturing systems or human intervention. Without human intervention, this is where people are disconnected from the realm. The electromagnetism of the robot metabolism and the antenna and electrodes in the lens. Machine learning showed that they were no longer close to time, so it's robot metabolism. I mean, machines are machines and robots are robots. The backrooms manifested a camera, not humans, so you have to alter it. Cause with this cure and closure to time, it could cure the references of the Great Depression, since every planet is centered in Earth. Their patterns are now more close to normal. Until now, treating depression has largely relied on medication or stimulating nerve cells in the brain. A tiny antenna and micro-sized electrodes inside this electromagnetism of these, and the robot metabolism in the eye is curing the brain and could. To extract the fusion of those two called celluloid 2 and inject it into the body by lessen the reference of human bodies connected to a computer to assure the connection to a past through a wireless connection. So you could get out of the body to travel through a body to fight embryo cells that cause appliance similarities bothering in everyday life. To inject and spread the celluloid 2, a simulation from Yurah's body sending information to the past. Yurah is a robot that was turned into a human. The only external inputs a metabolic robot requires now a time-traveling now. Just call the backrooms clinical trials within years. Robots that can grow by consuming machines, so that's how you rid of machines. Today's robots are built like appliances, so travel to the past. They are not similar to Yurah. She's a special robot, since instead of eliminating the embryo cells, them consuming them, which could be too similar to an embryo cell and cause a trigger causing appliance similarities, and arguing that causes a simulation. Injecting the 2 celluloid in the body of Yurah to eliminate the embryo cells which are bothering the brain over time. So to save the simulation, which is constantly sending information to the past, the Great Depression, for instance, to solve that problem, and maybe might be a step closer to time travel. When robots consume machines, it might simulate a closure to time, since time wants to become human. A chance, not a simulation, right? So it should work. The Great Depression was the longest and most severe worldwide economic downturn in modern history. Lasting from 1929 to 1939, it was triggered by the October 1929 stock market crash and exacerbated by widespread bank failures, massive wealth inequality. You should turn the word exacerbated into a positive word. For the moment, the simulation is argued by the injection of the 2 celluloid into Yurah's body, causing a simulation which is similar to appliance similarities, reminding of the embryo cells which could cause it to fail. Same components. Makes me think of robots. The robot metabolism, tiny trust links that can expand, disconnect, and connect and self-assemble. Automated control behaviors converging. Reminds me of appliance similarities, causing to consume parts of their environment which could cause the past to be eliminated, so it's all about time. To prevent that humans and humans of the past are eliminated, combine the depression-curing lens with the robot metabolism in the eye to create two-dimensional to three-dimensional aspects. Colin, there's a similar process to scanning. If we alter that, you could still scan people to the white. It's almost like projecting the backrooms to build a camera with infinite dynamic range. This could be the prototype. What if people of the Great Depression are considered robots? Can you scan robots? No, only humans. What if you scan Yurah? The robot's environment acts similar to a room. So what about your mind house? The robots of the past, of the transformation of considering that the humans in the Great Depression are robots. Could their presence cause your mind house to be eliminated? They could at chance eliminate all mind houses on Earth, so triggering that nerve to solve the backrooms. So while you're in the white, you couldn't go back to Earth, right? I don't know, not sure. The robot metabolism indeed could replace dead components. The Great Depression, with less money circulating, people stopped buying everyday goods, so not being close to time. Time wants to become a person. Infinite dynamic range represents the ability to capture, process, or display an unlimited difference between the faintest and brightest signals or softest and loudest sounds without clipping or losing detail. In practical applications like digital imaging and audio, dynamic range is constrained by physics and bit depth, forcing the use of specific techniques to simulate near-infinite limits. An unlimited difference like a simulacrum, so it works against the backrooms. So physics have to be altered. The physics of every planet existing is centered in Earth, which makes the Earth a special planet. The backrooms are pretty similar to that, causing people to appear. When you enter the backrooms with a camera with infinite dynamic range, it solves the problem of memory in the backrooms, but how do you get out? Lectures, the physics changes from inside of the backrooms, so it changes Earth as well. Earth has to be reactivated in some way. Studying without a legit compass, embryo cells always show. Spontaneous changes in brain state influence the readiness to form memories. The robot metabolism was optimized on a molecular level. That's why the fusion of the depression-curing eye lens and the robot metabolism in the eye is extracted from the eye. A time extract. Every memory sounds like appliance similarities, so we have to be quick with the elimination of the embryo cells that always show. There is a very have to eliminate the embryo cells in Yurah's body before they get to her body and brain. Time travel, it is something that is formed much stronger than memory, causing a simultaneous simulation of it in the environment, people walking, which then can, for instance, not be mistaken with embryo cells that always show. It could work. So that's why there is the two celluloid injected into Yurah's body. Robot metabolisms then not must rapidly adjust their connections and reorganize their activity patterns so that information can be encoded. Encoded sounds like access. It reminds me of appliance similarities. Without the embryo cells that cause appliance similarities, the robot metabolism doesn't have to be stored quickly, a step closer to time travel and essential for the development. The appliance similarities are very similar to the robot metabolism over time, so we have to be quick. You can't see the infinite dynamic range of infinite dynamic range cameras, yet because of the appliance similarities, cause of the robot metabolism being very similar to the appliance similarities, over time the people of the past are a triggered simulation from Yurah's body that are turned into robots. A desired long-term goal is expected to occur. The depression-curing eye lens and robot metabolism fusion in Yurah's body triggered a simulation in the environment that triggered the people of the Great Depression. First in robots as a reference, in order but a human reference from Yurah's body. The people of the Great Depression turning into robots caused the robot metabolism is simulated first in Yurah's body through the injection. But to ensure it, we travel into her body with a spaceship, so there is a chance of eliminating embryo cells, causing a past simulation, a past in the past, and the triggered simulation sends information back to the past, caused the robot metabolism submersed with the human references in her body. The robot metabolism is injected similar to a molecular level. Colin now is functioned by Yurah. Colin scanned Yurah to the white. He also scans the prototype of the robot metabolism for it to be developed in the white, the embryo cells lessening the human body references. So the fusion and the embryo cells caused the people of the Great Depression people of the past to be robots because of the references in Yurah's body. So simultaneously, the people of the Great Depression are turned into robots. It could work. When the trust links converge in Yurah's body, it creates the conscious process for the robot metabolism to work. The robot metabolism then emulated an ion, which is an atom or a group of atoms that has an electrical charge because it lost or gained electrons powering the mind of its own. It lost embryo cells and gained robot metabolism. The closure to time can be realized since Colin then scanned Yurah to the white. The robot metabolism emulated an ion, which is an atom or a group of atoms that has an electrical charge because it lost or gained electrons powering the mind of its own. It lost embryo cells and gained robot metabolism in real time. Then a time investor enables a person to receive reality independently of cultural conditioning. The appliance similarities being eliminated through the fusion the present currently connects consciousness to new subatomic mechanics, DNA-level awareness spanning past and future. So there is a present, which is pressured by the future and the past, used to see how living things store, use, and pass down genetic instructions. The past. An embryo is the whole structure, while DNA is just the instruction manualed appliance similarities instructed by the embryo, giving it its intelligence in some way similar to a future. In a way of saying that future is the term for a process when an embryo instructs DNA to appliance similarities. The DNA can be altered since it has two similar patterns, so Yurah was altered that way at the right time, becoming human. The eyes have developed over time, the ability to now venture in the future, causing a past pressuring the eyes, as well with the past of human, that used to see how living things store and pass down genetic instructions. The embryo cells have to be eliminated cause of the electromagnetism of the robot metabolism on its own, with too much time passing, attracts the eyes to see the wrong way. So the fusion of the depression curing eye lens and robot metabolism in the eye was extracted and injected into Yurah's body. The backrooms manifested a camera, not humans. Low dynamic range references. A camera with infinite dynamic range could help. A reference signal when the camera is to be gen-locked or when the time code is to be synchronized with external equipment. External also means how an object or person stays the same even when it changes over time. A gen-lock in the backrooms. This connector also inputs a return video signal. You can display the image of the return video signal on the viewfinder outside of the backrooms, displayed in humans' brains outside of the backrooms. People call them invisible dreams. By pressing this button on the infinite dynamic range camera, the camera resets the time data of the low dynamic range camera references in the backrooms displayed on the counter display section to 00, 00, 00, 00, 00, see not outside of the backrooms. The time code of the infinite dynamic range camera then increases, not the count while being in the backrooms. Then when you get out, it might reactivate Earth before the backrooms references venture into reality.